Hi, my name's John from the World Economic Federation. I'm sorry for the delay on this video. I've had a bad run of health with my broom pit poisoning lately, so things got really far behind. I would like to deliver this to you with more production value. I hope to do a supplemental video later that will have all the things that I would wish it would have. But today I think I'll just talk directly to the camera about one of the aspects of this project that is part of the core of the proof of work system. See, a lot of the economy today and the Federal Reserve is built hierarchically from the top down. That means that you have to believe in something like trickle down economics in order for this economy to work. What we're encountering today is a breakdown in trickle down economics because there's not enough trickle to actually sustain livelihoods, not even close to the bottom. So, when you have a situation like that, you start having situations where the very richest of society can pay large numbers and control large amounts of necessities while everybody else doesn't have the resources in order to purchase their needs. And when that happens, that becomes a system of control in and of itself, which is advantageous for the people that actually control those resources. But it's not fundamentally good for the economy in and of itself, which is how you can have a situation where you have stagflation. If you print more money, oh gosh, inflation's going to happen even worse now, even though inflation's already happening because of over consolidation of wealth. So we might as well raise the interest rates. But now the lending is more difficult, so the economy slows down. So you can't tax anybody, you can't slow down the economy. No one's able to afford to sustain themselves, and the only the people at the top have what they need to meet what their objectives are. And the smaller businesses within this ecosystem end up being squeezed out of business. This is why you see the collapse of a lot of Main Street businesses. You hear about this competition between Main Street and Wall Street. But within that context, Wall Street is operating as a de facto unionization of large corporate entities and putting them under hedge funds, which can control and make large coordinated decisions about what these groups do that can ultimately drive smaller competitors out of business without having a direct monopoly, you might say. So, simply by creating that power vacuum, they get to force people from all over the county to the county seat in order to shop at a large central location versus each of the small towns having their own economy and ecosystem. Yeah, there might be the slaughterhouse over there, but that's because that's a highly centralized asset. But for people's groceries and stuff like that, people could actually just go into their town and there were things to do. That's what's really collapsed within the current economic system. We don't have those businesses on Main Street because the simple truth of the matter is that the economy as it's been designed today is specifically built to benefit the people at the top. And in doing so, sometimes the economy can entirely shut down because the people that actually have the proof of work through the sweat of their labor are no longer a part of the economy. So you don't have that natural connection of work from the Federal Reserve and the people who actually get the work done because it's all stopping up here at the hedge fund level because no one's making a living wage. And if these hedge funds aren't paying taxes, well, you can see what happens. These people can't buy things, and these people can buy everything. But they want to sell to these people. This simply doesn't work, and then everything shuts down, where you find us today. So, anyway, what we're trying to do to address that is to create a system as part of the proof of work mechanism that supports small and local businesses. So, for example, today, if a small business wants to buy a service, they have to pay it at a premium because they don't have the clout of a larger business to order that asset. So if you get, say, a word processor, well, your word processor might cost $150, but if you're a larger business, that single license would probably only cost, let's say, $20. The larger company gets to convert that into profits, while the small business, the one that would serve Main Street, ends up being driven out of business because when people aren't even making enough to pay the premium for a more bespoke service, which is what you find in small towns, even when they could, if they wanted to pay for that more personal service to support their community, by necessity, they have to go to the big box store to spend that money, which ultimately removes that money from the local community and populace. When you have that happen and that big box store doesn't have a living wage, you end up with just a bunch of people on welfare stuck going for the big box store for what little they can get. And in all of this, Main Street suffers because Main Street doesn't have the power of the printing press of currency through Wall Street as these large businesses do. They can't call their politician and say, "What are you doing to protect my business during this pandemic? What are you doing to protect my employees during this pandemic?" Everything ultimately goes to the very top where it stays. Some of you may also notice at some point, so I'll just bring it up right now, that this is a concept fairly close to the Trade Federation from Star Wars, which was manipulated by Palpatine to overthrow the Republic. So you can imagine why something like this might be a really good idea to have under democratic control as what we're trying to build together, as opposed to run under shareholder control, which is how you get that kind of negative outcome, which is why we call ourselves the Economic Federation versus a Trade Federation. Because while we work for the trades, we're working for a fair and equitable economic system for the trades and larger businesses, not one at the expense of the other, as can be allowed to happen when a system looks out for a small group of the stakeholders in the system. So that's why we're the World Economic Federation and not a trade federation. So those of you who recognize the kind of support system that is building up these small independent businesses so they compete in a increasingly globalized market, good catch. That's very close to what we're doing here. So love to hear your comments below. Please like and subscribe, and I'll try to get this out to you, or the next one out to you next week in a far more timely fashion. Thank you for your patience. Have a great week.